Hello, D&Ders, RPGers, and game masters and such. I'm doing a partial review of Other Dust. I just played it again online with some friends, okay, and kind of want to go through what I've noticed. All right, first off, I got to be painfully honest. I haven't played the game that much. That's why I say it's a partial review. Okay, this was written by Kevin Crawford. It's kind of on the Stars Without Number backbone, except it's written in Old Terran, which is the Earth after the Scream. So there's some good points in here. First of all, I would like to explain about my experience. So I played one time in person with 5 players. Um, we played for about 5 hours, and it was essentially 2018. So this makes it 6 years ago we played the game. All right. Now the game came out in 2012. All right. So there was some experience on the game. It wasn't the first time it was out. So we played in person. It took an hour and a half just to create our characters, and it was really shaky in some of the understandings on how the thing worked because of where were we coming from as far as other games we played. But really, the game session lasted 3.5 hours, and they kind of didn't like it and wanted to go back to something else. All right, so I never picked up again. Now I played a whole lot of OSR games, and we just started playing Traveler, and I opened up the book to take a look at it and said, let me give this another try. All right, so I just played a recent online session. I did make all the characters ahead of time. Session 0 is already posted online, and session 1 will come out in a couple of days. It's 2 hours and 2.5 hours, and some people watch and some people don't. It's an interesting story that I've created, I feel. But the idea is I want to talk about the game right now and kind of let you know what I've noticed as far as play, right? Players, there's a mixed reaction. I think they played Traveler for a couple of sessions, and they seem to have liked that better, and I can explain why. We didn't use any mutations. That would have been probably a bonus to playing, but it seemed pretty lengthy on how do you figure the whole thing out, and I didn't want to kind of go into that. Just want to see how the mechanics of the game work. Because we didn't use mutations, all the characters got +3 bonuses added to their stats. So they added +1, +1, +1 to their typical, strength, intelligence, dexterity. They get to put 3 pluses on things. Okay, so this is what we're going through. The combat was very clunky. The only thing I like about it is weapon and armor damage, and I'll explain that. The skill seems like a reskin of Traveler, which is a 2d6 system. It's what's used in Stars Without Number. So keeping that in mind, I think it's a good system. It's robust. It makes sense. It has a nice bell curve. I like it. They do give you 3 different chances to acquire bonuses and skills. First, you get a background, then you pick a class, which is everything begins with an S, which you'll see, right? And then you get a training package, and that's what you start with. And like Traveler, you get to keep on going through different careers till you decide to become a Traveler. This sort of does it all up front, which is kind of interesting. It works, right? The skill advancement seems clunky, and I'll explain that. I didn't like it, and I'll show it to you. So I haven't used it yet, honestly, but I just still think it's not easy to kind of navigate in a way. One thing, the drawback is it has one really great module, Grandfather's Reign. I haven't played it. Okay. However, I think to get more people to like the game, I think Crawford would have to do a revision. And I think a whole bunch of one shots that people can get there and get a feel for the game and see how it's played would make it a little more appealing to the masses. Now, I'm basing this on White Star. People write these small little modules, which are kind of awesome because you can play them in 2 hours and people like a sense of accomplishment. Um, you could probably do that for this game and it'd be a whole lot of fun. And then people expand on. It'd be really nice to have a fillable PDF. I didn't have one, so I actually used an image that I wrote on with it's like an image writer type thing, and I have to change it. I have to erase it and go back and fix it and everything. So I think a fillable PDF would be so good for a game like this. Woody did well. Crawford's a fantastic writer. I wish I could raise him, being honest. The lore is great. The world building is awesome. Tons of ways to create your universe, right? And sandbox style play, if you're into that, this would work fantastic. if you're into something that's you want modules where you can just sit down and start playing, like I'm using Rapanathic, I'm into like 18 sessions with friends. It's nice you can open up and you already have something to go. So game master prep is really easy for a game like this. And this one, I think it'd be a little more difficult because you have to come up with the story, come up with things they have to overcome, right? He does, I think, understand as a writer how hard certain things are. He puts little breaks in, and I'll show you what one looks like. Here's my directory of things, okay? And he has something which I thought was kind of interesting. He has this little break in there, important steps in his system. And this is where you can think of it as it would be nice he had just one system for it all. And he doesn't. So skill checks are with the 2d6 system. And then you add your bonuses, right? To hit rolls, you roll a d20, but you have to add your attack bonus, your attribute modifier, combat skill, and the target armor class. So you're putting 5 things together: the d20, the attack bonus, relative attribute, combat skill, armor class, and to see if it's over 20. I know in the revision of Stars Without Number, I saw it was the first thing. This is how they did it in the first version of Stars Without Number. He changed it to ascending armor class and made it easier. I think it's unnecessarily confusing. It slows the game. And saving throws is kind of a static thing that they have going on. It's kind of like a D&D base. You have different categories and you have to roll above a number. So really there's several, 3 different kind of systems he's using, just to put it out there. So let's talk about the combat. I've already kind of illustrated how confusing this is. So I find this to be really hard. I figure as a game master, like we played for 2.5 hours, I kept having to do the math with them and show. And if you watch it, if you're into watching people play, I throw up their character sheet and show them what they need to add to their D20 roll to make it over 20. And then I tell them, you got to tell them the armor class to figure out whether they break 20 or not. So in some ways it's clunky, for lack of better words, I guess, right? He does something cool with weapon and armor damage. I'll give him that much. So if you roll 1 or 2 on attack, your weapon gets damaged and it starts dropping down in its ability to function, right? And then if you hit someone with a 19 or 20, or someone hits you with a 19 or 20, your armor will suffer and it goes down. And there is a weapon damage thing, and I think I have it here, which makes it kind of interesting. This is called equipment repair. So they have the different tech things. So you start off with something perfect, or if it's worn, I don't know how you would figure out the first time. Every time something gets hit, it drops down. So if it was perfect and you roll 1 or 2, now it's worn, no penalty use. But the next time it starts suffering penalties until it's like ruined. Okay. That's kind of cool. Now, the other thing too is obviously if you have tech level training on certain things, you could probably repair it. Okay. So that becomes another facet of doing this, right? But you have to find spare parts and stuff. The artwork in the book is fantastic. It's just very well done, just to let you know. So that's something I like, and there's something I don't like, right? So being honest, character skill advancement. This is part from the Slayer sheet, and I'll show you what the actual character sheets look like in a smidge, right? You have grayed out areas and white areas. The white areas are class skills. They advance at a certain rate, which is a class skill rate, right? But if you're in the gray, it's called other. It takes more to advance. In this case, it's always 1 more than what it took from the other one. So from going up a skill, right? Let's say you get your skills all set up and you get 1 unspent point. If you're a speaker or scrounger, you get 4 skill points per level. So I would add this 4 to 1. So I got 5 as far as my skill. Now, to go up a level, so if you're going to go from 0 to 1, you need 3 points, 1, 2, 3 to get to 1. And now you have to have 3 more or 6 to get to 2. So I think this level of advancement is pretty slow going up in skills. I don't know how long they think their campaigns go. My players like to feel like they're advancing a little more than that. But like I said, this is the way it's written. So that's kind of how he had in mind. I don't know if he changed that in Stars. I can't remember what he did, right? So this is what your character sheet looks like. This is an AI generated picture that I just put descriptors in. I kind of got what I wanted, which was kind of cool. I rolled for everything straight up. And as you can see, he gets 3 bonus points. Like the 11 wouldn't give you a +1, neither with a 13 or 14, only the 15, but he gets 3 bonus points. You don't change the numbers, you just give bonuses to it if you don't have any mutations. And that's the kind of way we went with this thing. Now, to look at your modifier to hit with a knife, he gets the attack bonus of +1. He gets a +1 because it's combat primitive. He's using a knife. And he gets a +1 if he uses dex or the strength with the knife, I think it is. So he gets a +3 to hit. Where a revolver, see, he has a 0 there. But he has a +1 here and a +1 with his dexterity. That's why he only has a 2. Okay. So I kind of see how this, in fact, I was showing, if you watch the game, which you may or may not do, you can see me coaching people on how to play. This one, unfortunately, doesn't show you the encumbrance total. I forgot to put it on this one, right? But your encumbrance is equal to your strength. That's how many things you can uncover or carry, right? And then your ready is half of what your strength is. These things you can have ready on hand, okay? I know in the next one, the Slayer is done properly. Strength is 8 because it was, you get a +2. Well, because you got that bonus of +3 for these things, right? So if you look at this, he got, or she, this is a female character, you count all this up, they got 8 to carry and 4 in hand, so half of what you can have on hand. And you can see, being a Slayer, you get this amazing +2 bonus right off the bat. So that helps in doing things. Like I said, the clunky part is just descending armor class, plus you're adding so many things together. And I try to preload it by putting them all together with the weapon, I think would be the easiest way. So all you got to do is add this and add the armor class of 5 list. You just got to roll a 10. Some ways it's easy, but I think it's hard for players, using it that way. This was the speaker. As you can see, he's loaded up with a bunch of skills. And these things, they're in the beginning, it shows you things you can roll for the starting package. And that's what all this is right here. And here's the survivor. Like I said, these are just rolled up. I try to get them already ahead of time so we can go ahead and play the game. Now, things I didn't explore. Towards the end of the game, they did have someone have to use a stim pack to gain healing, right? Now, all stim packs right off the bat, and there's a big section on stim packs, and I'll show you what that looks like. So stims themselves, you have multiple different types. So this one says Cure, Cyst, Lifestyle, Patch, Morph, Purge, Rage, and Rush. So like they had, I tried to figure out the best I could, right, what's going on. They had Purge ones, right, that he had, right? They were giving someone, but they can use it just for healing. And that's what they use since, here it is right here. It says all stims required action to apply. Every stim heals 4 hit points plus their subject's constitution modifier. So it saved this person. He got low hit points. This is, first level characters, right? One thing it does is if you ever use it, right, using a stim to heal or to revive mortally wounded adds 1 point of system strain. The system strain is basically a count up to your constitution total. Okay. So that's when you're doing this thing, if you get to your full constitution, then you're dead, but you strained your system. The only way to fix that is to take care of yourself, eat properly and not eat contaminated food, and rest. And then you can get back your how would you say, your system strain points. Okay. So that's something that's quite different than most games, right? Let's go back to this. They also have mutations can cause system strain. You could do a mutation thing, it gives you a certain ability, but it causes strain to your system. Disease and toxins, and that's another thing. This is just an example. You get pneumonia or something called bone rot. And, we didn't get into all that. It takes a lot to get into all this. You just kind of go as far as you can. I was trying to do a one shot. We didn't even get all the way through it, but it was fun. And I think they had a good time. That's important. Another thing I didn't really get to mess with is survival and forging. You say, right off the bat, if you go back up to these characters, they all start off with rations right off the bat. This guy's got 12. How many did this guy have? He had 7, right? And this one right here, rations, they had 10. The idea is try not to use them. And to tell you why is because if you don't get rations, you suffer system strain. So one thing you want to do is maybe try to find something to eat by survival. one of your skill sets. Everybody has like a survival skill set, right? And then as you're doing it, you get to eat the good food and save the other food in case you didn't find stuff. That's kind of, I think, the way you're supposed to be playing this, right? So there's stuff, and you can read more about the lore and find out stuff. There's something called High Shine that came in here that's kind of messed a lot of things up. But the idea behind it is, it would make the game kind of interesting for a survival point of view. And from a sandbox point of view, it makes it really interesting. I just didn't do it that way because I was just trying to get them into the game first before we did this. It's like do something from what they know, kind of scaffold, and then try something new. That's kind of the way I do things, right? So this is the upshot of this thing. The lore is fantastic. He's a great writer. Illustrations are fantastic. And I think he knows it's kind of confusing because he gives these bites on what's going on in each section, right? The concept itself works if you have characters that would do a post-apocalyptic setting, right? It would work perfectly fine. If I was to compare it to two games that are kind of like sci-fi-ish, right? To White Star, the combat is so much slower in this game than White Star. White Star is so much faster. It's just a D20 and people roll and add a bonus. That's all you're doing. There's not as much things to add, right? But the skills are way more interesting in Other Dust because you have such a big list. And the other ones, it's just, you just have a tech. You just have this, you have that. And that was in it was the add-on one with James Bond. And it was also in the Galaxy edition. I play White Star a lot with kids because it's so easy to pick up and roll. This would takes a little more number crunching. So it's maybe not best for certain age groups, I guess you might say. If I look at Mongoose, right, 2E, that's what we're playing. I like that Traveler uses 2d6 throughout the entire game. So people know you always grab 2d6. You always grab 2d6, 2d6. And if, you got a gun, it's 3d6, throw another dice. And there's the Bane and the Boon dice and also this stuff. So I think it's much easier to figure out what to do. This has this, what am I supposed to roll for what? That's where people get confused, right? The settings, I think the only way you can do a Traveler setting is you land on a world that's post-apocalyptic and you have to work your way out. So it's not really meant for this, but you could do it. You could work a Traveler setting such as this. I just think that Crawford's lore, how we say his write-up on the background of the whole thing, is so good. That's why I kind of want to play the game. I like the way he wrote this thing with the scream and all this. It's just very well done. So strain and toxins and etc. They seem very quite different. Compared to Traveler, it doesn't. I mean, I guess you could have that in there and you can roll for these things, but this thing has like a whole section devoted to these ideas. With that, this just gives me like just a brief one. Maybe if I play it for a while and keep doing games, I come back and fill it out and say if it's been successful. If I feel like my players still want to go with the game, that's the whole thing. Is whenever you introduce a new game, you want them to say, "Oh, this is fun. I want to keep doing this." And I don't know if I got them there. So with that, I would like to hear your comments. If you're like, play the game, almost the most fun, or, oh my God, I ran into the same difficulties. I'd like to hear what you have to say about this. And if you want to subscribe, great. And I know I haven't done a review of anything well over a year. I just kind of stopped doing it because I'm just playing, which is a lot of fun. Haven't really been put out much, but this has been, been kind of busy. Everyone does that, right? With that, I hope you have a fantastic day and may all your roles be fantastic.